The other fire districts, there's the total amount that they're collecting. Most of them have an EMS levy, which we don't. And they're going out for a levy lift this August, and Port Ludlow went out for a levy lift last November.
I'm Roger Sorensen. Looking at that, if I understood your discussion, that there is a limit of $1.50 levy on fire district.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a limit on the EMS levy and the maintenance and operation levy?
There's a 50-cent limit on the EMS levy,
Okay.
and I don't know about the maintenance and operation. You guys know? No. We've never talked about that. I've never researched that.
I don't think there is a limit on the amount of the additional maintenance levy, but there is a limit on the time span, and then they would have to come back. It needs to be specific with the
On
maintenance.
maintenance and operation.
Yes.
Okay.
Towards this far corner over here is an explanation of the different levy rates, and then the reference back to the Washington Revised Code, and Washington Administrative Code, if you want to take a look at the different rates, and then the actual legal language behind them, and what the requirements are. Some 50% of the voters have to approve it, and for other levies, it's 60% tax rate.
Okay. Follow up with that. You have us there at $256,250 for the fire district, and yet this budget that we have displayed here, the one that's recently passed, is we only have a total of 614, so we're at 50% of the spending level. Correct?
Can you speak up, sir?
Would you mind standing as well? Can't hear.
Yeah, with the rain coming down, it's making it tough.
Sorry. You answered my questions on the EMS levy and M&O levy, and then I'm a little confused with the dollars that are being asked for, because when I look at it, we have a 256 income, and looking at the 214 budget, we're looking at a 614 expenditure rate, so we're looking at, right now, we're at 50% of what we're expending, and God, if we went to the 150, we're still not gonna be at your operational budget. Correct?
The budget,
How
so,
do we make up that difference?
yeah, the
Because
budget,
when I'm following on the numbers and say next year if we don't do it, we're gonna lose $100,000 worth of residents, folks, which would really be unfortunate. That 100,000 doesn't even touch the difference.
the budget's a little bit misleading.
Oh,
Okay, you got this, right?
yes.
Okay. Our operating budget is 461.
Okay, what about 614?
If I say this wrong, correct me. When you have money in the bank, you have to account for that money. So what we do is we take half of that money that's in the bank, basically, and we account it towards vehicle capital funds, which I believe is on the last page.
$276,000 one.
The $276,000 ones, those are basically what's in our account that could be spent on capital expenses if we needed it. We don't anticipate spending that much. Our operating budget is the 461. If we had more money in our capital or more money in the bank account, these numbers for capital would be a little bit bigger.
That gets to one of the questions.
Am I right, Gene? Am I explaining that correctly? Anything that's in our bank account has to be shown on our budget each year. If you go back to a budget from 4 years ago, these numbers would have been a couple of $100,000 each.
That's where the surplus or the slush is kept.
Yeah, but I'm
Under
gonna call
those
it.
two accounts. You wanna call it slush, but it's the rainy day fund. It
Yes.
has to be.
Yes,
Okay, so there's rainy day fund for 1 year.
less than,
$150,000.
yeah, less than a year. Less than a year. You saw we had much more at one point,
Yes,
and it's come down.
okay.
Other questions? Linda?
Not so much a question, but I just want to thank you guys for working so hard to get all this information out. I know it's with no staff, it's not an easy thing to do, but this is so much more informative and reassuring to the residents than what we experienced last summer. So just thanks a lot. And
Thank you,
I wanted to
Linda.
ask this question at the end, but maybe this is the end. Can you go through the process that you'll follow now to think about what you hear tonight and through the website comments? And what happens next at your next meeting, and then what happens after that? And eventually, when you make this decision on a levy, when and how does that get made?
We have a meeting scheduled for, next Thursday at 6 p.m. Here, either here or over here, depending on how many people show up. And we will be talking amongst the commissioners on that levy rate. And then at our regular meeting in July, which I think is July 12th.
July 12th.
And our regular meeting time there will be 7 p.m. We will again read that resolution. And then at that point, I believe it will be submitted to the council.
And is everybody welcome to come to those
Yes.
meetings?
Yes. Oh, excuse me, it's July 14th.
I'm Stan Dealey. I live out on 3914 East Quilcene Road. Full disclosure, an ex-wife of mine said, I don't have any kids, so I don't see why I should have to pay school tax. Okay? Well, none of us can afford not to have fire service, and particularly in an aging cohort, we can't afford not to have EMT service. So, Chief Karp, I just want to say I thought you hit it out of the park. As far as I'm concerned, go ahead and raise it. I'll pay the tax.
For everybody. Thank you, Stan.
I just wanted to say, one day I was really busy, so I drove up here, and I don't know what I would have done if nobody was here.
We have so many people, I've never seen so many people who drive themselves to the fire station. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. What is it, like at least twice a month, guys? People come here when they get sick, or they call one of my guys on the telephone and say, I'm not feeling well. We wholeheartedly ask you, when you're not feeling well, just stop and call us right away. You don't have to come to us, we will definitely come to you. But I remember that day when,
Yeah, and I
When
got
you
a
came here.
ride, and I don't know what I would have done had you not been here, so, thank you.
okay.
Nancy?
I echo everybody's kudos. I think you guys have done an amazing job compared to where we were a year ago. And your presentation was awesome. So, assuming you go forth with this $1.25 rate, then you want to tell people how that happens and how you actually get voters to approve it on November 4th. The campaign, Gary.
we have one problem being commissioners. We can't campaign.
I know that. I know very well you can't. So I'm asking you to inform the public on what needs to happen to actually pass it by the voters.
We need your help.
We need your
There
help.
you go. And what needs to happen?
Well, we need people to have campaign meetings, put up signs, meet people in front of the post office, get the word out. And people who haven't seen this, they can go to our website, I might add that our website was created from donated funds from a very nice couple that saw our position here. We didn't have a lot of money, and they helped us do this. And it's really helped us get the word out, and will continue throughout the campaign of getting our information out. And Nancy, one thing before I leave you, I want to make sure that I get this to you, because I saw you giving me the look here. There was a little bit of confusion over the budget. And the budgeting here is complicated because we have to use a bar system because the county actually makes out the checks. We send vouchers, they make the checks. So they tell us how we have to budget, and it's a difficult system.
The state mandates
The
that.
state
not-
mandates So it's not your fault?
Oh.
Well, I was gonna blame somebody. So anyway, there is a better document that you can look at that is a little easier to understand, and David was putting that together, and it just kind of made it worse because it almost looked like we were trying to hide something, and so, but it is confusing, but I will get you a copy of it, I have it right here.
I'd like to add one thing. I appreciate it. This is well laid out. I would think you could enhance it a lot if you tied in the CPI in 1988, because you're looking at the purchase power of the dollar has declined probably 100% since '88 to today, which would indicate that the purchasing power that you've experienced, in addition to everything else, there's been a total erosion of what you've been able to do with your dollar.
I've got those figures, and if I remember from reading it last year, somewhere around 2.5 was about the average a year. So 2.5 every year for the last 20, 15 years. Yep.
Given that the pipe on Quill Road is not so reliable, is there anything in the pipeline considered a 6,000-gallon water tanker for the long run, for the resupply in the long run, where there's no hydrants?
We have not thought about buying a new tender. We have not thought about buying a 6,000-gallon tender. If we have a fire, whether it's here at Quilcene or if it's on Coil, on the report of a fire, we immediately get mutual aid help from the 4 other districts here. And Britain has several tenders that they bring us. East Jefferson has several tenders they can bring us. Ludlow's got one they can bring us. We're going to have a good 10,000, 12,000 gallons of water rolling like immediately on the report of a fire. We just don't have the finances to think about buying a new improved tender right now.
A new tender or a new engine is gonna run you probably about $225,000. And that takes out the total collected for 2014.
Yep.
A new aid rig, what you have are darn near, I think, obsolete. They're old.
Yes.
They need replacing. I don't know what the price of those are, but it's probably, I don't know, with the equipment and everything, I don't know, you know, Chief, what it would be. And if you say, what are you gonna have tonight? If I have a call up on Lindsay Hill, where I live, 92 Bobcat Lane, what would I get for a response for an average night? For your crews coming from Quilcene, if that means if everybody's in the station, not out on another call.
How far are you down
For an
the road?
ambulance type call,
No, our fire structure.
a structure fire. Structure fire, we tend to have a pretty good number of volunteers who come in for that. If we had a report of your house on fire, I'll bet you I would have 10 or 12 people.
How about initial response though? If they're not
Well, it'll be
driving
the
on
two
the
guys,
engine,
there'll be the 2 guys that are in the station.
okay?
It'll be myself and my partner. We come right away, and then everybody else is coming from their home to the station here to grab a rig. Shiner will grab the tender, because that's his specialty, and he's out the door with that tender right away. He lives about less than 8 blocks from here. So he's here and out the door as quick as he can move it. So all of our guys come here, and then we go out. At the same time, I've got my mutual aid coming from the other 4 districts.
So what you really need is more residents here. You need a bigger response from this station, people on duty, to get in there, to have the 2 in and 2 out, and get something accomplished.
In a perfect world,
Yes.
that would be correct. That would be correct. Every fireman likes to think that if they had more manpower, they could do a
You've
better
got to
job.
have that to put a structure fire out.
You gotta have at least 4 is your bare bones minimum. And you sound like you know a little bit more. Obviously, if you've got a house fire, you really need about 18 to 21 guys on the scene. Between your guys going in on the first line, your guys on the second line, your guys doing search, ventilation, your guy in charge, somebody on the backside being in charge, the pump operator and your tender operator. You really need about 10. And then your EMS, correct. You're right. You're right.
You're running bare bones, you're not even, you really need what you want, what
Some-
you're asking for, is what I see.
Something we haven't talked about, and something we haven't really, we haven't talked a lot about it. We're at the 75 cents per thousand. You'll notice we're the only department without an EMS levy. An EMS levy is the way that districts basically pay for their EMS service. We pay for our EMS service and our fire service out of the fire district, out of the fire levy. We really do need to get an EMS levy here so we can bolster not only our ranks, but start fixing some of our equipment or replacing it. And in Florida. So that's something that we're going to need to discuss as a community also. If it's not now, it's going to be in the near future about establishing an EMS levy.
Before I go, Kathleen, we didn't get your name and address.
Jerry Childs, 92 Bobcat Lane.
Thank you, Jerry. Kathleen?
Kathleen Clare, Doe Run. I want to spend a moment thanking Denise. When Larry came, when Chief Karp came to the community, he, I think, was a little surprised by how much energy there was about the condition of the fire department. And Denise has taken a lot to help Larry stay here. And not only has she helped Larry stay here, she has given a great deal of her time and energy to become certified and part of the public safety community. So Larry, this was magnificent. I remember our first conversation going up to PT, talking about junior taxing districts, and the eyes were just rolling. Oh my gosh.
I've learned a lot in a year.
I know, and it's spectacular. And Denise has learned at least as much, if not more, and she contributes these magnificent cheesecakes for raffles all the time. So, thank you, Denise.
Well, I just have, my name is Colleen Lynn, and I live on Day Bob Road. About 2.5 years ago, we had she was a foster child at the time, choke on a little tiny Lego. And it was nice to know that from the time we called 911, that the residents on call were at our house within 10 minutes. Now, had there not have been anybody on call, they would have had to come from their house to the station to get an ambulance to come all the way out to our house. Who knows what could have happened at that point? You know, if you think about it, it could be life or death. That 10 minutes it takes them to get to the station could be your life, that they could save you. You know, I just think the resident program, not just because I have kids that volunteer here and work here, but because I've seen the response time with my own child at the time, and how it did make a difference.
When you say there's a difference between the skill level between a professionally trained firefighter and volunteer, that's what got them in trouble in Texas. They didn't know what they're in the middle of. There were 15 volunteers, they didn't have the materials, they were not professionally trained.
What you're talking about, Lyle, is it doesn't matter whether you're a full-time career professional firefighter or if you're a volunteer firefighter on a little department somewhere, you're expected to have the same training, the same knowledge.
The level of experience is different.
That's where a lot of volunteer fire departments get in trouble, is it's hard to keep up with these standards and it's hard to keep up with the training. You need to keep up approximately 20 hours of training a month to do everything you need to do. There's no way I can get all of our volunteers in here 20 hours every single month to train. So we do the best we can do with the training. We train on a weekly basis here. The residents who live here, they train on a daily basis. They're out here doing something, whether it's here in the station, right out in front, or over in those buildings we have across the street. We're training every single day because we need to adhere to those same standards that the Seattle Fire Department has to adhere to. There's no difference in the eyes of the standards.
So the paid firefighter have time to do the 20 hours training a month, whereas the volunteer may not.
A paid guy who works a regular 24/48 shift, works 10 days a month, that's 2 hours a day.
Frank?
I'm Fred, yes, and I'm Dave Road. I've been hearing council meetings, and I think this is great.
Yeah, talk up just a little
I
bit.
says, I think that the property over here could possibly subdivided and sold. Is that true?
I'm gonna let Gary speak to that.
That's talk about that.
We're in that process right now. It's been a long process. The initial layout of the boundary line adjustment, we ended up having to have a major revision from Department of Health on the lot sizes, and so we're still going through that process. And our plan is to surplus 2 of those buildings in the future.
And you can keep the rentals maybe, or the residents.
Well, our tentative plan is to keep enough properties across the road to build another structure at some point, but we really haven't done a cost-benefit analysis to see what these old buildings cost us to own and operate versus having a newer building. So, you know, we're still pretty tentative about what's going to happen there, but we're going through the process of turning that into 3 different properties so we can surplus some of those.
So if the money passes, and I hope it does, that the residency is still here, you might even increase the amount of residences. Why would you put down if you got rid of the property?
Well, we would probably keep part of the property for an additional building.
You know, at some point, as Gary said, we haven't done a cost analysis yet. That may be my job after we're done with all of this. We have to decide, would it be better for us to maybe either remodel the station to make it bigger or build a new station? Now, anybody who's into construction or building like this, you can probably imagine, it probably costs us as much, if not more, to remodel this station to current standards than it would cost us to build a new station. But wouldn't it be nice to get everything that we have under one roof here and not have the residents running across the street when there's a call, not having my office over there, letting me be closer to where the guys are working. That's how a typical small town fire department works. You're all in one building. Then I'm not paying utilities on 4 or insurance on 4 and so on. So that is probably in our plans to at least think about after we're done with our initial problems.
Any questions? Joe?
Motion to speak, please. Promise not to be elected.
And talk up though, it's raining now.
Yeah, I really don't have a problem talking loud, I do that all the time. And I'm gonna talk to you from not a financial point of view, that's your job. I'm not gonna talk to you about the program, that's his job. I just wanna tell you that when you come to vote for the levy, it really, I want you to think about this. I'm a volunteer, I've been here for a few years, not too many really. And it is something that I really thoroughly enjoy doing, okay? And I don't want to make this anything political or stone-throwing, but it is a painful experience for a volunteer when you do transitions, okay? You gotta understand that when you go from a professional working staff, daily staff, to a volunteer that shows up at your house, it is painful and it is emotional. Don't vote that way. You gotta vote what is best for the department. You gotta vote what's best for the community. You gotta think that way without being emotional. But I ask and I plead the community to keep sending us volunteers that want to be like the old school, because we cannot live with just residents. We cannot live with just volunteers. We gotta have both. And that's his job to figure out how to make it work and keep both types of staff around. I'm all for it. You know, I thought his presentation was knocked down, dragged out, very informative and to the point. There's a lot more details that could be spitting out. But then you start to drag through the weeds and emotion. And you cannot do that. Okay? So, send me some volunteers that want to just play on a volunteer basis. We'll train them up as good as any other resident or professional. Because we got a lot of them that used to be here, and some of them are still here that can fight fires as well. Okay?
Hey Joe, how many times did you go into the school in September to talk to the kids?
This September
Yeah,
or
this
in any
No, this past September.
This past September. I've been talking to youth a lot, just in passing in the street. Hey, come on down and volunteer as a cadet.
We're having, you know, we went into the school, and I think between you, Don, myself, I think we were in 4 different times to the school trying to get a couple of these high school kids involved with us. I mean, I would have thought the kids would be clamoring to find something to do. There must be so much for them to do here that they don't want to be involved with us. But you would think they'd want to come here and learn a little bit about the fire service trade, and it might end up being a career for them. And we can't even get the high school kids to come here and test us out for a day.
That might change. If you get one student out of the high school, that is a higher percent than any other place around this place. One student will be a higher percent than any other place that gets something. But you got to look at the demographics, and I've looked at all those numbers. After they graduate, the number of students that stick around drops so far off the charts, they're gone. You cannot rely on high school students because they got to learn to grow up. They got to get a life together, and it's not here in town. If you get one a year, you are doing great. Give us that one a year, and you will have a dynamite volunteer person. They'll probably end up in the resident program because they got a little bit of money coming in. But you know what? It's going to take for a volunteer that's going to have a job. You got to go and find those for us and recruit those that want to come and fill in the gaps to bring professionalism back to the department or keep it going. Whatever you guys want to call it. Don't get emotional like me. Just give us the funds, give us the people, find them, send them away. We'll do it again. Look at those bunker gears around here. That's your staff. That's the number that you have coming in. And those numbers he showed you, that's how many people will pick up these uniforms and go out. They used to be full. Every hook used to be full. And they kept some in their rigs too on top of them. Those days far into the future. We need your help.
Thanks, Joe.
Any other questions?
I'm Helen Bruce, not on Daylock Road. This doesn't have anything directly to do with this, but since we're all here, how hard would it be to set up a CPR class for the whole community of Quilcene, or even people from wherever? And I'd be willing to pay $25-30 to have a hands-on CPR class. We used to get it every year at Maudel. We moved over here, and the neighbor, who is a nurse, she's a basketball coach, she and I talked about that. And, I don't know, we just kind of got an apple on close, it's a pretty good idea, but we don't have a clue to do it.
We do those on a regular basis, not as regular as we'd like to, but if we can get people interested in learning, we will do it more often. Debbie, we don't have anything planned yet, right?
No, but I will be happy to provide a CPR class that involves AED use at just a want-to-know level, or I can provide an actual workplace certification. For example, we have done those for Coach Seafood, we've done them for school bus and coach employees, we've done them for Little League volunteers. We will do them, if you call, we will be happy to do them. For those that are volunteers, we do them for free. If it is for paid employees, we usually request a small per attendee cost just for replacing the disposable items and the cost of the car itself. We do it right here at the fire hall using equipment that's been donated by the Volunteer Association. And I donate my time for free for it also.
Well, because I mean, I know people that say, I can't find class in here, and even farther out, not just in Quilcene, and you know, they're willing to pay. And that puts a few bucks toward your time or something.
If you leave me your contact information before you leave, I will post your number in my office, and as soon as Debbie sends up a class, I will contact you. I got stacks of paper like this in the office. I might.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Louder.
I certainly like to thank our deputy chief and our chief. They spend many hours making this organization work. And without their dedication, I don't think we'd be where we're at now. Chief Karp, I negotiated with him over a month to bring him to this community. There was over 40 other individuals that were put in for the job. And I'm very pleased and happy with these people, and especially the deputy chief and so forth. They worked their tails off for the district. So I'm very happy with them.
Thanks, Herb.
They need a hand. I have to pay them anymore?
I've been looking at these numbers and brought back something that popped into my brain probably 5 or 6 years ago. If we are successful in lifting the lid and getting an EMS levy, we're going to be running pretty much parity with the other districts, correct? Give or speak. Has anybody at the commissioner level considered a regional fire authority?
Didn't hear you, Don.
A regional fire authority. Because when you, basically what I'm seeing here is that when we're running parity with tax money being brought on board, we're all talking about the same thing. Continuation of services and continuation of having a 24/7 availability. That brings in that thought, and I don't know a whole lot about regional fire authorities, but they're out there. It's an entity that when you start looking at staffing and taxes, is there a potential for that to occur somewhere? And has it ever been discussed at a commissioner's level?
There's always a potential for fire districts to get together. Something that I've heard since the day I got here are some of the chiefs talking about setting up a cooperative or a regional medic service. Okay? Up in Fort Townsend, up in Port Ludlow, they have paramedic service. Down here in the South County, us in Brennan and Discovery Bay, we have EMTs. A little bit different of a service. The paramedics have a little bit more, a lot more expertise than the EMTs. They can use drugs to help you out. They've got advanced care measures they can use. We don't have that here, so we pretty much, well, we contract that service. We pay Fort Ludlow to come in here and help us out with our medic type calls, what we call our advanced life support calls. There has been nothing official, but there's been unofficial talks amongst the fire chiefs at least. Hey, what do you think if we kind of did a regional medic type thing? We could, you know, you kind of play with your Ouija board there. We could put a paramedic unit at this station, this one, and it covers the whole county. Something that's good for us if that ever comes to fruition. We're kind of in a great position to house one of those medic units because we could cover Quilcene and Brennan. Okay, so nothing official on that, at least at the fire chief's level, and I don't know what the commissioners have done.
Well, that's one of those things, if it even, to begin the discussion, you have to have the commissioners, obviously. And when you start talking about the commissioners,
talk about personalities, everybody has their piece of ground. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, this is an opportunity maybe down the future, 5, 10 years, to provide a better service, which is what everybody that I'm listening to in here is saying. We want the service that we're providing, we're looking at that future service, and what can the Quilcene Fire Rescue provide us, and that's where, once again, that just brought that out in my mind. Something to
or help us at 75 cents.
Exactly.
Okay?
Or an zero.
Yeah, if we were to like totally fail here in Quilcene and not have enough money to pay our bills, and somebody were to want to come in, let's say Fire District 1, East Jefferson, would want to come in here and take over this area, we're not going to do it at 75 cents, I can tell you that. They're going to want you to be up at parity with the rest of their customers. That's really not an option. But Don, you're right. You got to get the 17 commissioners in Jefferson County to sit down and talk about that, and then it could happen or not happen. Everybody has their domain. They have their town they're most interested in. They don't want to lose control. It's a bigger issue.
It's just like school district. Nobody wants to leave the school district.
No.
Okay, we don't have any, another question.
Bill Peary, Wildwood Road. I have a two-part question. One is, since the assessment calendar, the payment of property tax doesn't follow the current calendar year, there's always a lag behind. Assuming a successful levy bid lift campaign and passing on the ballot, when does the fire district begin experiencing increased revenue? And the second part of my question is, when does the district anticipate going for an EMS levy?
If we pass the levy this year, it will become effective next year, 2015.
In January?
Is that when we get our first installment?
No, that would be in April.
It's like in April, right? April.
Well, actually, it's May. You have to pay by April 30th.
Okay.
It's when your taxes, when that statement says.
So there's always a lag behind.
We would begin collecting with the first installment next year. And the EMS levy, it's no secret that we do need more money than we're probably asking for in this limit. This fire district has gone way too long without raising its rates. Yeah, probably gotten more in the hole than it should have. I would anticipate that the commissioners will begin talking about that soon. Possibly as soon as the next year. We need to start putting some money away. As the gentleman next to you said, our vehicles are expensive. If our tender goes out, that's $150,000 that we got to spend. And the tender is something that we need to keep in service to keep our fire rating. If an 8-car goes out, we got to get a new one. So I make no secret of the fact that yes, we will probably have to ask for that sooner rather than later.
Assuming this ballot request is successful, is there any way to anticipate when the next interval will be? It's not going to be another 26 years.
If we get a lot of forest bucks.
No, we're not even talking forest bucks. Your commissioners should look at the revenue source every year during the budget process. And when we start seeing a trend, like we're spending more money now this year, let's say we're spending 6% more money this year than next year, that's a clue that we should at least start those conversations with the community. You are absolutely right. We should not go 20-some years without doing this.
What do you think is a reasonable frequency? Any way to anticipate like that?
I haven't been here long enough. I haven't been here long enough to give you a straight answer on that. I really don't know.
26 or so.
But you have to look at it. You probably would not have approved a rate increase 5 years ago when we had a real good balance in the account, and when we had all this timber money coming in, it looked like Christmas. Okay, so it probably wouldn't have worked a few years ago. And unfortunately, everything kind of dropped off at once on us. The bank balance went down, the timber money went away, and now we're in the position that we're in.
Kathleen?
There will be another change in terms of the county used to be on a 4-year schedule of the assessment of property, and they are moving into every year assessment. So at least there won't be quite the variations in 4-year property valuations, which may help with some of the budgeting issues.
Correct.
Well, I would think also our strategic plan, the way we're working now is at a 5-year interval. So I would hope that the commissioners would plan for in that 5-year interval to be able to work within the budget for that 5-year interval. So that would be my guess. Linda?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't identify myself first, but Linda Herzog. I feel like everybody in here really understands the problem and is tracking with you pretty well on the solution. And it's true that the commissioners can't have anything to do with the ballot. They can't determine the vote. So I would like, if everyone is willing, for everyone in the room who feels supportive of this issue to stand up and by that acknowledge that you might be willing to help make this happen in November.
I bet you never thought you'd see that.
Does anybody have anything else before we close it up here? Gary, we got one more up here.
Jeff Childs, Lindsay Hill. You mentioned a basic lid list, and then you also mentioned the potential for a vehicle replacement additional amount as well. I would like, coming from a paid department for many years, as my brother had mentioned earlier, it's definitive, it's absolutely necessary that a replacement vehicle fund be in existence. And without it, I believe, and again, I'll just reiterate, the necessity for that is paramount. So my question to you is what factors do you think will be involved in you deciding whether you're going to ask for that additional vehicle replacement amount on the liver? What's the likelihood? And perhaps I would also like to maybe ask for a vote from the folks here to support you in asking for perhaps a little bit more than the basic 50 cents or 75. I'm not sure. You understand the question?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I can't answer that for all the commissioners. Me personally, my fear is overreaching and losing our resident program and the community not having the coverage. You know, if you could do it as a separate ballot issue where, you know, you could take both, one or not, but I'm really afraid that if we lose the resident program, that the community is going to be under marginal protection for that time period to do it again. That's my personal feeling.
I think that we're looking for the operational. I know what you're talking about, equipment in that world, gears in that world too. We're going to take one thing at a time. Look at the next step, say next year, what we can do. If you put too much money out there to ask, you may shock some folks. And let's just work with one thing, and then we'll work with another, and we'll end up where we're supposed to be eventually.
You know, you're only 50 of the 2,000 people we got voted, and we're afraid that if we put too much on it, this fire levy needs a 50% passing rate. The EMS levy needs 60%. Yeah. needs 60%. So somebody who's not here, somebody who doesn't know the issue, looks at that, we're asking for more than 50 cents or something, they're gonna vote no for both of them. And then as Gary said, we're up at speed at that point.
I'd like to just add that it is definitely something that will be discussed by the board next Thursday evening. That it's a part of the draft 5-year plan right now, the acknowledgement that an EMS levy is something that we should consider. Capital reserves being replenished is very important, so I'm sure we're going to talk about it explicitly next Thursday. I'm going to bring it up.
As acquiring a new age car, I think that the price on it is about $115,000 without any gear. And there's probably $35,000-$40,000 worth of gear. Age car.
Anybody else, Gary?
Yes.
Couple more.
Chuck DeBlisco, Whitney Hill Road. Just before I came to the meeting, I just Googled funding sources for rural fire districts, and there were some federal and some other funding sources for vehicle replacement. Other than taxes, so I don't know the feasibility of other people, volunteer people helping to sort through some of these grant opportunities and bring those to your attention and see what's feasible.
We'd love to hear about other grant opportunities. There are several grant opportunities available that we apply for on a regular basis. There's a federal FEMA grant for equipment and vehicles that comes out every year. We have applied more than a couple of times and we've gotten several of them. We seem to have about a 50% success rate. Right now we have a grant in to buy 3 defibrillators for the ambulance. They're about $30,000 a piece. We've got a grant that made it past step 1, made it past the computer review, and it's going to a peer review now. So if we're successful, that's a $90,000 grant that we're going to get for medical equipment. The backup generator for this facility was purchased on a federal grant. Some of our bunker gear and self-contained breathing apparatus were purchased on a grant. So we are looking for those. And we applied for a staffing grant this last year, and we got turned down. So we're going to try again next year.
So do you have staff? I mean, that must take a lot of time. I've written enough grants that you know it takes a lot of expertise and staff time. Do you have people that help you? Or
My staff in the office and myself in the group.
Yeah.
That's my staff. Like I said, I've spent a good part of my last couple of weeks doing this program and getting ready for this meeting because we don't have the staff.
To add on to that, we do have federal elected officials, 2 senators and a congressman, and they know where all the federal money is. And I know that HUD has community development block grant money and buys fire trucks, particularly for underserved rural communities.
Okay.
And so I would be more than happy to provide you with all their contact info, and you meet with them, and they will give you a list of possible other federal agencies to go after.
We will absolutely follow up on that.
Mo had his hand up. The old guy over there in the wall.
The old guy was just gonna say that it's $115,000 in plus for emergency. To stop that anymore, just go ahead and put another $100,000. The defibrillator in alone is $35,000.
Anybody else?
Okay, we got one more, Kathleen, and then we're gonna call it a night.
Senator Jim Carver, who represents us, was speaking to the chamber on Monday, and he did make the comment that when his constituents ask for some help, whether it is with grants or put a word in for monies, they look at what the community has done to help themselves. And more taxes, then you have to realize that puts you in a position of that you can't ask for more services.
Well, thank you all for coming.
Please spread the word. Spread the word to your neighbors, please.